Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, the lovely and talented Rob. I had to gas myself up a little bit. Today, my guest is, this is your terminology, a fat marathoner, run coach, influencer who helps people be active without the pressure of weight loss. Also a speaker, podcaster, and founder of the Slow AF Run Club. Please welcome Martinus Evans. Welcome to the podcast.
What's up, man? Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you on as a fellow bespectacled individual. This is, like I said, it's a doppelganger thing. I don't know how I feel about it. It's going to be like, if you throw out there you're an Aquarius, if you throw out there like you're 6'4" or something, to be really upset about
it. Not Aquarius, but I'm a Cancer, so water sign.
Okay. All right. Okay. So again, I want to thank you for popping on, and this is definitely a treat for me because there's definitely some overlap, and just watching from afar and really respecting how you've gone about your biz and how you've gone about like your story. So, if you will, for the folks that are uninitiated, undipped, could you share your story and ultimately, what prompted you to start marathoning?
Absolutely. So let's take everybody back to 2012. What were you doing at 2012? For me,
thinking the world was going to end.
For me, I was a suit salesman in 2012. I sold suits at Men's Warehouse, commission sales job. One of the first few jobs I had right out of undergrad. And I was on my feet all day working there, slanging those suits. It's the big guy that's slanging these suits, right? And by slanging suits, you're there. It's almost like being a corner boy, but you're just in the store. So you're there all day. You're on your feet all day. You're eating trash. And, one day I walked into my job and I felt this sharp pain in my hip. This led me to go see a doctor, which led me to go see another doctor. And, I'm sitting there in this orthopedic surgeon's office, contemplating whether or not I need to have like a hip replacement or something like that, because I played football in college and in high school. Mm-hmm. And, we sit down and he say, "Oh, you got hip pain?" I'm like, "Yeah." And before he even looked at my chart, he's like, "Well, I know why you're in pain." "What's that?" She goes, "You're fat." "What?" "You're fat." So then he goes on, it's like, you got breasts as a pregnant woman, you got a belly as a pregnant woman, to start going in on me.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got two options. Like, you need to lose weight or die. And I'm still on, this motherfucker just called me fat. Like, who is he? Who is this man? Just to be calling me out my name. So I say to him very sarcastically, "I'm going to run a marathon. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Screw this, screw you. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to run a marathon." And he laughs, like the biggest laugh I've ever seen a doctor laugh. And was like, "You run a marathon? That's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in all of my years of practice in medicine. If you run a marathon, you'll die." So I'm sitting there like, so I need to lose weight or die. If I need to, if I want to run a marathon, I'm going to die. So I just left the doctor's office, stormed out. And as I was driving home, I drove past a running shoe store. And I went in there and I told them I need running shoes and I need them now. And that became like the journey. I got home, I got on the treadmill, and I failed miserably, like literally. Fell off the treadmill, like no more than 30 seconds. And that was the journey. I remember going home with tears in my eyes, like, this doctor is right. And as I reached out to turn the doorknob, I have a tattoo on my right wrist from Frederick Douglass. It says, "No struggle, no progress." So it's literally as I was like turning the doorknob, like my sleeve pulled up and I can see the tattoo. And that's when it hit me. So like, this doctor ain't going, I'm about to prove this doctor wrong.
Yeah.
That was the start of the journey, man.
Thank you for sharing that. And definitely there's some overlap that's there on occasion. I remember my partner, I would go on these rants on occasion because and I would imagine you've encountered this based on what you just described. Whenever as a larger person, there are really shortcuts that are made, and it's not a drag on it, but that's what the experience has been for me of you weigh this, hence X, Y, and Z are going to happen to you without any extra research.
Right.
And I remember there was an article that talked about just like what the experience is for like larger guys. Like I'm over 300 pounds. And I remember my girl was just like, you were right. And just showed it to me. I was like, I know, I know. This has been, a long time of this. And this is what this experience has been. And, it's this thing where you feel like you're not being heard, you're not being listened to. And it's like I definitely get this notion of being on your feet. I used to work at the ballpark, used to work at Oriole Park and in undergrad. So chicken tenders and French fries, and you're on your feet, and it's not great. It's very sweaty days. And so yeah, I definitely get it. And I remember it was one point because I'm very meticulous about numbers. I'm an analyst by day. And so, always, on like, all right, what's this weight looking like at that time? And what's this blood pressure looking like? Things of that nature. Black people things, And I remember going there and I had like a weird situation and I had like a specialist take a look and it was like the wild H, as it were. And he was like, oh, you need to lose weight. And I was like, hey, you're not looking so slim yourself. And that's literally just was flat out of my mouth. And I remember he checks the situation. He's like, all of your numbers are good, which doesn't make sense because you're a fat guy.
Right.
And I was like, so help me understand this experience. How am I supposed to leave with trusting you?
Exactly.
So let's talk about the Run Slow AF, Slow AF Run Club. How did that come about? I would imagine like going into this experience and then doing this dive into treadmill, seeing the risk. And it's like, I'm not going to take this L. So tell me how like the Run Club came about.
So the Run Club came about years ago, man. So like I said, I've been at this since 2012. And around 2017, I got heckled on the course. Some dude was like, you're slow as fuck, man. Like, woo! Shout out to the slow as fuck, man. He was just heckling me. And I remember being like, yeah, I'm slow as fuck, but I'm faster than your ass. And him being like, touche.
Like, you got it, bro.
Like, I'm here. Like, I'm running the race.
Yeah.
And you're on the sideline. So who's the slow one?
Right.
And from that point on, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to put slow AF on a shirt and just run races.
Yeah.
And, people's like, other people was running. It's like, yo, like, that's funny. Like, I'm a part of that club. Like, do you sell this stuff? And I was like, no, like I was just doing it for myself. But then I started selling the shirts. First launch, sold about 500 shirts. And then went from there to people asking me, hey man, you got like a Facebook group or something? Like I want to kick it with the other people who are also got these shirts.
Yeah.
Like, we should have a club, like Slow AF Run Club. Like it should be all of us wearing these slow AF shirts all over all races. So then I went on the process of like figuring out like how to do that. I was like, I just don't want like a Facebook group. Like everybody does a Facebook group.
Right.
So that's when I went on the journey of finding a company that can help create this process. Shout out to Mighty Networks who helps back and support the Slow AF Run Club app. So, we got an app, it's like our own Facebook that's not on Facebook. We got an app on iOS. We got the website. We do live streams inside of that bad boy. So it just became like that thing. And I started this thing with like 42 people.
Yeah.
And, that was in like 2017. Like now we're close to like 10,000 members in there.
That's really cool. And it's really an organic way of building a community, building like a network of folks that have like similar like interests and they have a similar belief system, I would imagine, and kind of hear, I would imagine these same stories or what have you of, yeah, here's your limitation that I'm going to put on you or what have you. It's like, I'm good, bro. I think I'm all set here. And and so tell me about, because I encountered this when like I was just at this this panel discussion last night, and those are always weird to me. Like I was describing a little bit before we got started, because it's like I want to be me, But sometimes me, if like you catch me off guard, it's like, all right, and I don't want to feel like I'm performing either. But I know to a degree, like this is a contrived interview or what have you. I mean, you didn't read the question, so that's cool. It's less contrived, but we knew we were going to meet at this time. We knew we were going to have a conversation. So tell me about from your standpoint about being authentic versus and sharing what your story is versus being performative, because somebody said, oh, this might sell if we're into fat folks now. So, break a mirror and walk through it and live your truth or what have you. That's no shade. That's no smoke. It might be some smoke. It might be some Amazon related smoke, but please.
So I had a business partner back in the day, and they was like, if you really just focused on weight loss and like had a weight loss community and like just do that, man, I swear to God, you'll be a millionaire within a year. And I remember being like, but I don't want to do that though.
Right.
It's like, but you'll be a millionaire within a year. Like if you like took this journey and like really just honed in on the weight loss aspect of it, like you'll be a millionaire because you can sell products, you can sell supplements, you can so many things in the weight loss field that you can sell. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, Martinus, you'll be a millionaire. And I was like, no. So like, I say that to say, like, when I first started this journey in 2012, it was weight loss focused, right?
Yeah.
Doctor called me fat. I wanted to run a marathon. I said to myself, I ain't never seen a fat marathoner. Like, let me, like, if that marathoner was fat the first time, he ain't gonna be fat the second time or the third time. But next thing you know, I'm running 8 marathons and I ain't, I'm still the same. So
we out here.
So that lie was going, but like during that process, like after I ran my first marathon, I got into this bad car accident and I wasn't able to run, like totaled my car, had like this neck injury, and I wasn't able to run. And I remember this is when I was in Connecticut at UConn, and like it's like those spring New England days where it's like the first time that it hit like 50 or over 60 degrees. People was like, oh, I'm gonna barbecue this weekend. People outside starting to run and things of that sort. And like as I was driving on campus to see all these people running, and I just remember being like, fuck, man, like if I could run again, like I don't care what weight I'm at. Like I enjoyed running so much that like I just want to do more of this. And I remember like I lost like almost close to 100 pounds and being like, I wasn't 100 pounds happier. Right. And in fact, like I was more miserable because like motherfuckers look at me like, man, I like the fat Martinus better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like your standards change. You start doing things like, I like the fat Martinus better. Like, I don't like the skinny version of Martinus. And truthfully, I ain't like myself either because I was like going through this process of like more weight loss. Like, this ain't it. Like, I lost 100 pounds. I ain't got no abs. I still got man titties. It's like, what is this?
It's one of those things. It's one of those things that feels like, and I relate to that because I think at one point I heard something in fear in spite of great motivators, and I get costume chondritis. So it's that wild rib cage inflammation. I was like, yo, am I Fred Sanford right now? Like what's happening here? And I remember going there and having the whole thing done. It's like, no, you just have you have rib cage inflammation. Like it's terrible, but that's what you have. And I was like, I didn't have this up until me working out, and to the degree in which I was, not excessively, but I'd be on the stationary bike for like 90 minutes, at a time. That was just like, this is my normal evening, and reading a book on there, watching a movie, playing video games, whatever. Right. And I remember, I think from a 9 point, I was at a 388, and in the span of like 9 months, I got down to like 256. And all I did was just to do the biking, and I was eating under, and it was just like the doc got in my head and just convinced me that, if you don't do this, it's a wrap for you. And I was like, man, I got so many more podcasts to do though. Right. I got to fill out this lifetime contract.
So
yeah.
I don't want to get way off there because I still want to answer your question, but like there were times where my workout didn't begin until I burned 1,000 calories on like the elliptical.
Mm.
So like that was a part of my workout, burn 1,000 calories on the elliptical and then go work out. So
Yeah.
that shit is that shit is toxic.
Uh-huh.
Like that shit is horrible. But like to get back to your question is that I had so many opportunities where individuals was like, if you just focus and stay on this weight loss and do this journey and like help people out with that, like you'll be a millionaire. I promise you. And me being like, but that's not my principles now.
Right.
Like I just want to be happy and run and like experience life that I ain't necessarily experienced until I started running. Like I didn't experience this stuff when I lost the weight. Like I started traveling the world when I started running races.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, like, oh, there's this thing called the World Majors where it's like 40, 50,000 people running these races. Well, shit, I want to go there.
Yeah.
And so like that was the thing that for me, my
Authentic.
So bear with me because I done got these braces in today, yesterday. So like my tongue is doing weird things today. Just trying to live my best authentic life, right?
Sure.
Like, are there things on social media that I don't share? Like, of course. Like, my partner, my wife, is not on social media. Like, she doesn't have a social media account. I rarely post her on my social media because just something that she does not believe in and don't want, right? Which then leads to like other things, right? People shooting their shot, men and women. They're like, well, he ain't posting that about no women. He must be gay. And then you got women like, well, I ain't see him posting that about nothing. So he must be single.
Yeah, like, hey, teddy bear guy.
So, that leads to other things, but, there's boundaries around like what I'm willing to like share on the interwebs and on social, right? Like my relationship with my wife is like near and dear to me. And like people, like the people on the interwebs that I don't know can't have access to that.
100%.
But like my fat ass running around with no shirt on and like being in Men's Health with naked and like stuff like that, me having fun running, sharing like TMI stuff when it comes to running, like, yeah, you can have all that.
Yeah.
Like take it all.
So this is like another bullet point within that. And I think I have the answer, or at least a sense of the answer, but I'll at least ask it. Tell me about the benefits or that experience of being more obscure and how since you've grown, like, and I think that still ties into the question about what do you share, what do you don't share, being authentic and all of that. But tell me about some of the advantages of being more obscure. Cause I think, I don't know about you, but I'm from Baltimore. Someone runs up on me, hey, Rob, how's it going? I say, I don't know you, bro. What's good? and it's because people think, hey, I've listened to you on some episodes, so I know who you are. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I know you like that, bro. So tell me about that obscurity and how that's been that shift to some of those advantages you may have had earlier on versus more so now.
I think it's a different curse because the same thing. I'm originally from Detroit, so the same thing. You just can't run up on me and just like whatever. Like there are ways to approach me that don't. I'm a jumpy brother. Like just don't run up on me like that. You know what I'm saying?
The claws come out. What are you doing?
But it is something about that. It's something about just having boundaries around this, like parasocial relationships, right? Mm-hmm. So people see me in magazines, they see me on social media, they listen to me during these podcasts or live streams, so they feel like, yes, I know him. Like he's my friend, he's my best friend in my head, and like he's a great person. And that's amazing. Like that comes along with like a parasocial relationship. But the thing about parasocial is most of the time it's one way. Like, yes, I might be your best friend in your head. And like we might be cool in your head. I might be a cool guy, but I don't know you.
I could be a serial killer for all you know. But yeah, it's true. It's like I talk to Rob Lee every day. It's like, do you? Because I've never shared a conversation with you. But yeah, it's that, and it's like I kind of struggle with it at times, and and it comes, I think I recognize it comes from a good place, but also it's like recognizing that sometimes when I go into maybe mixed audiences, I'm very weary of, people being a little too like wanting your time, because it's like kind of one of the things you touched on earlier, I thought you said so well, is your relationship is very precious to you. It's very important to you. So it's the same thing with me. And some of those DMs are very, very weird. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But also, I'm going to be with the same like 5'2" girl with like friggin' pink hair all the time. That's who I'm with. So it's kind of like read the room at times, but also it's just something I'm getting adjusted with, and doing this podcast thing for 13 years. And now it being, hey, we know who you are. Hey, you're on billboards. Hey, you're in this magazine. It's like, cool. I'm still off-putting black dude from East Baltimore. I'll tell you.
And that's the thing, right? And I think that's where like boundaries come into place, right? Of course, I have my email address, but there's, everybody don't get personal email address. You usually got to go through another email address that then is filtered to me, right? Same thing with social media is that, I would say about 80 to 90% of the time, like it's being filtered through somebody else to say like, hey, like this is important, you need to get to it, versus like me saying just the riffraff, you fat bastard or whatever. Because like,
yeah,
I'm still an artist and I'm still from Detroit. And like, I come from a day and age is like, well, let's say that to my face. But I can't be like that. Like I can't be like say that to my face every time, because then I have to fly to tons of places around the world.
Well, that's how you do that traveling, though. You can continue traveling a different way. Traveling pugilism is fine. But no, 100%. And some of the messages, some of this is like, it's. Don't confuse it. And this notion of, oh, you're not going to do anything, I say whatever I can say to you. And it's just like, no, I still have that. And, I think because you touched on the artist thing, it's interesting because I think I try to do these interviews to get at what the person does, but also get at to what's baked into the experiences and all of that stuff, what's underneath it. And, as I touched on before, I'm black dude, 6'4", 3 and change from East Baltimore. So my experiences are kind of going to be baked into it. Me being a big fan of Japanese wrestling and 80s action movies and looking at the police sideways all the time. That's all baked into maybe my position on a particular thing, my strangeness, if you will. So for you, how do you embrace your strangeness in what you do? Like something that might not be as obvious as someone might think, like, oh, you're a bigger guy. So yeah, running slow, fat marathon, all of that. But what are some of the things that are like baked into you as an individual?
The hill that I'm willing to die on is grits and sugar inside of grits.
Whoa, ho.
That is the hill that I will die on.
See, I thought we were boys for a second, and now it's just like,
that is the hill that I would die on. Everybody's like, what? You put sugar in your grits? Yes.
Bro, that's cream of wheat. It's fine. It's
That's
fine.
not cream of wheat. It's grits. And so like that is the hill that like as soon as I say that, people are like, what? Who are you? Like you were cool, but like sugar and grits? Like what is this?
You had that hot grits take. Al Green is spinning right now.
So like that is the thing where I'm like, grits, me and sugar and grits, that's me. And people are like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, that's how I eat grits. And I've been eating like that since I was younger. And I got it from my pops, and he got it from somewhere. And like, I remember being young and being like, ooh, these grits taste better with sugar.
This is a lot better, actually. No, it's one of the things like my parents, my dad likes the savory and sweet thing. He used to go in there to like Lexington Market and one of the famous markets here in Baltimore. And he would get like this, just regular, like, bacon, egg and cheese joint, but it would always have grape jelly on there. And I was like, this slaps all the time. And I go back to it that he would get maybe 1, maybe 2 in the morning. And he would always come back with like a half of a sandwich, like the diagonal joint. and my younger brother and I would fight over who's going to get it. So I'm like, yeah, aren't your clothes already? And I was like, okay, I get the sandwich today. This is great. While my mother hates it. So I'm like, yo, look, mom, you just don't get it. You know, this savory and sweet thing, this is baked into me. This is who I am as a person.
Same thing with sugar and grits. Is that it's something that's baked into me, and I will die on that hill. Like that's the hill that I'm willing to die on.
I'll give you that pass. That's fine. That's fine. So I got two more real questions, and I got some rapid fire questions for you. So in the last 10 years, because that's pretty much what it's looking like, as far as like this portion of your life, and obviously that's much more before that, because I'm 37, but I've been doing this for 24 after I turned 24. So it was like 24 years of other stuff. Right. What would you say is like a life lesson that you've learned that helped you cope with some of the challenges or limitations that pop up? Because, you know, we get on social media a little bit, and it's all of these great motivational quotes that pop up from athletes or, you know, others that tell you how you're supposed to go about life and so on. And it's always somebody lifting weights in the background. But what is a piece of advice that you got? Because I look at you more like an everyman. Like I look at myself, and I think advice coming from you or Jim coming from you is of more value.
So the thing that the lesson that I learned through all of this is not the sexiest lesson in the world.
Spin it.
Consistency and persistency. You got to be consistent and you got to stay persistent. You need both of those things. Like persistence is like, oh, I'm going to come here and I'm going to knock on the door. And it's like, you going to tell me no? All right, I'm going to come back. Like that's persistence. Like, you know that somebody's going to tell you no, but you're going to go do it anyway. Like you're being persistent about that. Yeah. And the other part is that I'm going to come every day, or I'm going to come at whatever interval. And that's the consistency part of it. And then you add both of those things together, like that is my success. Everything around me and everything I do is around those two principles. Is that I got to be consistent at it, like, and I got to be persistent at it. Because this message of being a fat runner or, you know, being slow in the back of the pack, like I've been saying this message for 10 years. Yeah. But as of late, it's the thing that's more palpable. Consistency and persistency. Yeah. So like now, like, 10 years. Now all of a sudden, you know, I got a book coming out, Adidas athlete, you know, I got this run club, you know, all these other stuff on cover of Runner's World magazine, Butt Naked and Men's Health, all this stuff, right? Yeah. All of this stuff came, but it came 10 years. Yeah. Like, so it's all one of those things like, you know, it's like an overnight success, but it's 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's burning your 1,000 calories before the workout starts.
Exactly.
And so, I think a lot of people don't get that. And, you know, with this particular thing, doing this for around 3 years and not knowing that, you know, I say it all the time because it's the experience, but, you know, it's 10 years of me podcasting and learning this craft and just kind of parlaying it into ultimately talking with people who are kind of strangers and getting a very good conversation out of it.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like, as of late, like I've been able to do this as a full-time job. Yeah. Before all this, I still had side jobs. I had jobs. I argued with my bosses about, you know, me taking no time to go run races, having arguments with my significant other, you know, having arguments with my family, for them to really understand, like what are you what are you trying to do? Yeah. Like, this don't make sense, especially coming from a family who's a blue-collar family who worked at the big three, Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Yeah. You know, so all they know is taking up a piece of bolt, screwing that in, and doing that for 8 to 10 hours a day. And I'm like, no, like, I want to do your social media stuff. I want to write a blog. I want to do all this other stuff. And it's really now that they really see the fruits of that labor. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, like, now I believe in you. Mm-hmm. But like 10 years ago when I got this started, I don't know what the hell I was doing, nor did they believe that it's going to turn into something that's fruitful as it is now. Now everybody loves me and want to have conversations with me about Adidas.
I feel like Mike Jones is playing in the background for some reason. I don't know why. I just hear Mike Jones faintly for some reason.
But like, that's the thing. Like, now everybody want to have a conversation with me about Adidas. Oh, how Adidas doing? Like, when your next commercial? Uh-huh. Oh, I see you in the magazine. Like, how'd that go? How you get into the magazine? Yeah. You got a book coming out. Oh man, tell me more about that. But when I was just a fat dude, 10
Yeah.
years ago, and like me writing a blog, and then be like, what the fuck is a blog?
What's this
Like,
blog thing?
like you just writing your thoughts on the internet, and people reading this? Man, that's dumb. What the fuck you doing? You better go.
Yeah.
I can get you a job at GM. Like, boy, I can get you, look, $20 an hour was a lot in 2012. And then,
Yes.
look, I can go get you a job at $20 an hour at this plant on this line. Like, you better stop writing this blog shit and get this $20 an hour on this line. And me be like, no. And like, you are dumb. Like, you just missed out on this money.
Or people like in doing this, like this thing is a project that's been like self-funded. Me doing this, it's like, why are you buying lighting equipment? Why are you buying mixers and microphones? Like, isn't it expensive? It's like, I could be buying drugs. Like, what do you want from me? And it's like, look, man, I'm having a good time. I'm not bothering anyone. And, and it's something that I'm good at. And it's just like, that's not enough. It's, this is similar background. This is the kind of lifestyle we think works for you. Or I remember early on, it's kind of like, I remember, this is really unrelated, but it connects in this way. Like, having a pretty decent memory, I just remember, especially pop culture like touchstones, I remember people taking weird shots at like Chadwick doing Black Panther. Man, he's the weakest character in the movie. Bop, bop, bop. And then after you pass, it's like, oh, King is gone. I was like, yeah, but let's go back in that Wayback Machine a little bit. But I remember in doing this, oh, you must be a lame in your mom's basement recording and talking to yourself on a microphone. And now it's a couple $1 billion industry.
Yeah,
it's really weird. It's really weird how that works. So this is the last real question I got for you, and I got to get those rapid fire ones. So you're running a brand, you're doing a lot of things, some of which you touched on, press, podcasting, Adidas, while living life. And some of those things can't always be fun, right? How do you make the things that are their work? How do you make work play? How do you make that, ultimately staying motivated? Do you gamify things? It's like, right, just 6 blogs. I'm gonna do this because I remember seeing at one point after finishing a marathon, there was a treat element in connection, and I was like, this man gets it. so tell me about that and kind of staying motivated with the things that it's like, man, I just want to do marathons and write blogs and travel and whatever, but those things that feel like work, how do you make those feel like play?
So I wish I had like sexy, cool answers. But my thoughts about motivation is that it's a fallacy. Motivation is here on the good times. Like motivation is here when like you're on a roll and things of that sort. Motivation is not here when it's bad times. Motivation is like a fair weather friend who's like trying to leave you at any given moment. Like that's motivation. What you really are talking about is commitment.
Yeah.
And being committed to yourself and being committed to the mission to really understand that people may not get it now, but they will get it later. It's almost like, in my book, I was writing about this thing called like delusional self-belief. You think about all of the modern features, what we're doing now.
Yeah.
The cell phone, internet, all these things. Somebody had to think about that. And somebody else had to be like, that's dumb. So I can only imagine like somebody, what was it, Skype or whatever, being like, what would be cool? Like, yeah, I'm talking to somebody on the phone, but like, what if I could see their face?
Yeah.
What if I can see their face and like we can see each other while we talk, but we're not here? And somebody's like, man, what the you talking about? If you don't pick up that phone and talk to him.
It was some sci-fi guy. It was some sci-fi guy. It was like, man, I was reading some Philip K. Dick books, and he was talking about the video tube closed off during the call. And then, 10 years later, they fumbled the bag, and Zoom is kind of
exactly.
Yeah, so but yeah.
It goes back to those key points: commitment, persistence, consistency, and then the delusional self-belief. Because all of this, for me to be like, oh man, I'm gonna be on the cover of Runner's World. Yo fat ass. First, you fat. Second, you're black. Third, you run slow. You think you finna get on the cover of Runner's World?
Yes, I am.
And me be like, oh, I'm gonna get on this cover of Runner's World. Like, I'm gonna get on it.
It's
And
that
like that's how I
manifestation
told
thing
myself.
too. It's
Yeah.
the manifestation thing too, where I remember I talked to a few people and I was like, yo, I'm trying to model like in the next year. And in doing these interviews, I'm like, yo, I want to be part of somebody's art. I don't want to just talk about it. I want to be in it. And I'll say this, my scenes got dropped, but you know, that show, We Run the City, we own the city rather. I was talking to the dude that wrote the book the day that the show was announced. He was like, yo, I got off the phone with HBO and I got on this interview with you. And as soon as he said, I was like, we'll be on that shit. I just said it like to myself. And then one of my friends who's a casting director was like, yeah, you trying to be a drug dealer for us? I was like, sure, that's playing against type. It's fine. And, you know, my scenes weren't in it, but I was able to have that experience being on set, and there's power in it. And I think whenever you get something, the opportunity or what have you, I like to run off of ambition and spite. That's the way I go about it. Because I'm like, nah, nobody expects me to do any of this. And I'm just like, nah, I'm going to do that. And just almost signing the contract with myself and being to what you were touching on, being committed to yourself. It's like, well, this is the thing I want to do. I said it, but be a person that does what you say you're going to do.
Exactly. You want the quickest way for Martinus to do something. Or you want Martinus to do something is piss Martinus off.
Yeah.
Piss me off. Piss me off and see what happens.
A lot of cancer energy right there. I'm listening. I'm the same way, bro. I'm the same way. It's just like, okay, cool. Come and figure this one out. I'll be back.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing hell with me. It just turns to Tombstone.
Exactly.
So let me rock some rapid fire questions with you. You know, brevity is key here. Don't overthink them. And let's see. What is something you've always dreamed of doing?
Skydiving.
Okay. What is an activity that you find regenerative?
DJing.
Okay. Who or what is an anti-influence for you?
I wouldn't even know, because those type of people I turn out.
My guy. I'm going to save the ridiculous one for last because I think it's funny. Let's see. If you could have dinner with 3 artists, whom would you choose? What would you have?
Virgil. It used to be Virgil, Kanye, and Tupac, but like Kanye has been on some bull lately.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Like my guy, like I'm running out of like get out of jail free passes, bro. Like, I mean, your beard is all uncoordinated. Just can we not do this?
So, you know, Virgil, Tupac, and the third, I'm still thinking about that one.
Okay. And what are y'all gonna have? Like, just name a place, because the next question is a food question anyway. So,
okay, we're gonna have Del Frisco's.
Okay. I guess I must give you mine because why not? I'm gonna have Questlove because he and I had the same birthday.
Okay.
And he's one of the reasons that I watched the documentary Euro Dreams of Sushi, because he went to the dude's place on his birthday. He like flew to Japan just to get sushi. And I was like, look, we're on the same page, bro. Probably Donald Glover. Just, I think it's an interesting dude. And I'm on the fence. I want to stick with having like all Aquarius is there, and like the dude from Tame Impala is like same birthday. He's like a year younger than me, but it's like the same birthday. But I think it has to be, well, he's dead, but it's going to be Patrice O'Neal. It's like, hey, you know, me and him are just going to give it up. We're going to say very inappropriate things, and we're going to be laughing the entire time. Yeah. We're going for seafood, though. We got to get some crab cakes. But I'm going to give a note to the chef, because I have a lot of chef friends here. I'm like, make the Rob Lee style of crab cake. It's Japanese inspired. Don't screw it up. Very, very specific notes.
Tell me more about this.
Okay.
Are you talking Chinese spice? Like, what are you?
I'll put you on. I can't be giving my recipes on mic. I'll put you on.
Okay.
This is the last question for you. And because I wanted to get ridiculous, because you Midwesterners, right? Like I ended up I used to date a girl who's from St. Louis, and I mean, whenever I travel, right, I watch Food Network. This is where I get my inspiration from for like, how do they do that? You know, I'm gonna try to make that in Travel Channel and things like that. So I remember one time we were watching something about carnival food, and she was like, "Oh, I can make that." And she went into the kitchen with all of her St. Louis flair and made that. And I was like, "Yo, this is wild. I think this is disrespectful." It was what I call a ham snack, hard as you know. So what is your ham snack? What is that thing that you're like, this is a bit much, but this is fire. I don't care. This is another hill I'm going to die on, if you will.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Because I already know this one. My spaghetti is lit.
Black people spaghetti?
My spaghetti is lit.
I think we're going to be trading recipes in after this.
My spaghetti is lit.
Okay.
I think that is the one.
Okay. We're trading recipes after this. So
please. and ribs. My ribs are lit too.
I mean, look, we're talking about smoked meat, sir. I mean, we can we can get extra familiar about this. But one, I want to thank you for coming on to this podcast. This has truly been a treat. And two, I want to invite and encourage you to tell the folks that are undipped where to check you out, where to check out your brand, your run club, all of that great stuff. The floor is yours.
All righty. So how I like to start this is good morning, good evening, good afternoon to wherever you're in the world. What up, though? It's your boy. You can find me on all forms of social media at 300 pounds or on. That's 300 spell out pounds and running. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and 300poundsrunning.com. You can find the Run Club at slowafrunclub.com as well as Run Slow AF on Facebook and Instagram. I have a book coming out that will be on pre-order pretty soon, probably within the end of October. It's called Slow AF, the ultimate guide for anybody who wants to run. So if you're looking for interesting stories and lessons learned from a fat man who has been running marathons for the past 10 years and some biomass lessons, you might want to pick up that book.
So there you have it, folks. I want to again thank Martinus Evans for coming on to the podcast. And I'm Rob Lee, saying that there are runners, brands, communities, changing the ideas, changing the way that we look at things in and around your neck of the woods. You just got to look for it.